Good morning again, good afternoon to everyone that's joined us. My name is Kumar. I'm from the product management team at ManageEngine. We will start with the webinar now. All right, so thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And this webinar is going to be about the latest integration that ServiceDesk Plus offers, Zoho Reports for ServiceDesk Plus. And we're going to be specifically looking to create good, high-impact IT help desk reports in minutes without writing queries. So before I go any further, let me quickly take you over the agenda. All right. It's not going to be about slides or talk today. We'll just start with 7 service desk questions that we often ask ourselves, perhaps even on an everyday basis. And then we'll go over to Zoho Reports, examine what it is all about, then talk about the integration, finally go over a little demo, and then wrap up with questions. All right, so you have 7 questions out here in front of you. So these questions are asked by any person, an IT service desk manager, an IT agent, a help desk controller that wants to charter a course for the service desk. Is there a need to renegotiate our SLAs? What are my most problematic sites? Was the ERP application training effective? Who are the best guys that I have? Now, how has the self-service adoption campaign made a difference? What are we spending our time on? Are we good at resource planning? Now, all these questions, big and small, ultimately lead to that one big question. Which way do I go? Which way do I go to make target performance a reality for my service desk without compromising on quality? In the quest for such answers, we generate a lot of data and graphs. These are abundant, while analysis and recommendations are scarce. Now, as a team, we firefight issues every day. We have tickets flying around like arrows. And the effort of reporting is often looked as an additional overhead for a team that is fighting fires already. So it's time for us to actually step back and think, what are we even doing this whole reporting thing for? Is it because someone somewhere came up with this template that I need to plug values in every Friday and circulate to people? Or am I generating reports, gathering data? Am I working towards a goal of reduced rework, reduced waste, faster fixes, better turnaround times, improved response to business needs, satisfied customers, and ultimately better revenue? So at the end of the webinar, we want to remove that reporting mental block and see if we can find answers to the questions that we have today. Let me quickly tell you what Zoho Reports is all about. Now, Zoho Reports is a cloud-based reporting and business intelligence platform from Zoho, which is the parent company of ManageEngine. Now, the Zoho suite has over 24 applications, which is used by over 13 million users worldwide. And the goal of Zoho Reports is to provide you with a platform where you can create powerful reports and dashboards without scripting, no coding. So you can have visually rich information that you can analyze. The best part is You can share reports, you can schedule them, you can host it on your website, you can put it up on your blog, you can embed them in your presentations. So you can share reports to a larger audience on multiple channels. And the service is hosted in the US on the West Coast. Let's come to ServiceDesk Plus and Zoho Reports. Now, why did we even decide to integrate? The reason is very simple. Now, there's a lot of data that ServiceDesk Plus connects on your service desk operation. The volume is just enormous, and there's a lot of insight that can be gleaned from this data. Now, we have the out-of-the-box reports, we have the custom reporting capability, but what happens is, for advanced analytics, people still have to rely on query reports. So if companies have the expertise to write their own queries, that is fantastic. But for companies, for organizations that don't have the resource to or the expertise to write database queries to pull the reports that they need, this becomes a handicap. And ServiceDesk Plus is essentially an ITSM application which is used to accept tickets, apply best practices, take them to closure. The overhead of reporting is now completely in the hands of Zoho Reports for advanced analytics. So what happens is, this is a little architecture diagram, and as I said, Zoho Reports is a cloud-based platform. So the on-premise version, if you have the installed version of ServiceDesk Plus in your environment, you have a sync agent that runs on your server that keeps pushing this data through a secure channel into Zoho Reports, which generates the reports for you. And you would be able to schedule the sync. For the on-demand customers, for people using the cloud version of ServiceDesk Plus, this integration is in the works and is expected to be available by the end of this quarter. Okay? That said, let us go over these 7 questions that we looked before with inputs from the Zoho Reports. Is there a need to renegotiate our SLAs? Now, we all know what tickets violate the SLAs, what percentage of tickets comply to the SLA. We use a mixture of the out-of-the-box and the custom reports. We have the overdue status that we set and pull reports. But why don't we take a step beyond and ask ourselves, by how much time do we actually exceed our SLAs? Now, if you look here, for this month, the SLA for the high priority tickets is 12 hours, whereas the average resolution time, the time elapsed, is 60 hours. Now, this is way beyond what the SLA mark is. Now, let's say I want to look at it and see if this is just a one-time occurrence for this month or if this is a repeated pattern. So I filter this report and look at it for the whole of last year, and it looks like the high priority tickets consistently keep violating the SLAs by a very wide margin, which means I can take one of 2 actions. So I need to ask myself if my techs need more training, or if I really need to renegotiate my SLAs. Am I committed to unrealistic SLAs that me and my team are not able to keep up to? So you can also add filters here by group. You can check this by group, category, department, anything. This is the first example. The second question, what are my most problematic sites? Now, most of us have operations that span beyond a single site. So we may be interested in finding out which is our most problematic site. So here's a report that talks about the top 5 sites with the most open requests. It could also be on the number of incidents opened within a specific time frame in a set of sites. So if you see, you can actually sort this data, and you may ask yourself if the site is running on legacy applications, on unsupported versions of hardware, software, or if it is inadequately staffed, or if the staff there require more training on the specific categories of tickets they handle. So you can also add category filters, department filters, group filters for you to analyze further. Was the ERP application training effective? Now, I don't know how many of you have a formal training plan in place for your IT staff, but if there's something different that you wanted to do this year for your IT, it's still not too late. We're still in the first quarter. It's a great time to get a formal training plan in place that helps the end user and your IT staff. Now, let's say you have a training plan in place. You've trained your team. Now, how would you actually understand if your training paid off by giving you results? How would you explain to your management in tangible terms if your training was successful? One way of measuring it is by looking at the average resolution time trend report. Now let's say that your resolution time was on an upswing for a specific category of tickets until May. And then in May, you train your staff, you add to the knowledge base, you publish the knowledge base in the self-service portal, or just for the technicians, and then you see the average resolution time go down. That is a tangible way of measuring if your training had a positive impact. You can also filter this across sites. You can filter this across multiple categories. I'm going to show you in the demo how to add these filters. It is very easy. But the fact is that the kind of analysis you can do on your data is pretty extensive. This is a very favorite staff metric. Who are the technicians with the highest SLA compliance this month or last quarter, this quarter? Okay, so here's a sorting of technicians for the month. Let me take it for last year. I see the top technicians based on the SLA compliance. I can filter this across across different timelines. So this is a great report for you to identify your best guys, again, on very tangible numbers. The next question is, did the self-service portal adoption campaign make a difference? There's a lot of emphasis on self-service portal adoption. Much has been talked about on how you can deflect tickets by having end users refer to the knowledge base to reduce the workload on your technicians. So companies, every ITSM best practice consultant or anybody that knows its stuff would tell you how important the adoption of self-service portal is to any ITSM initiator. Now, there are a lot of ways to run campaigns: emails, Hall of Fame, posters, whatever. But how would we measure the success of such a campaign? Now, here's a report that talks about the request distribution by mode across the past year. Now, I can filter this by site, I can filter this by technician, by department, just to see if a specific department has adopted it the way we want it to. Now, the orange is the email, the green is the phone, and the blue is the web-based self-service portal. So let's say you observed a very stagnant adoption, and sometime in June you launched a campaign, so the blue grows bigger, it runs for 3 months, and then you slowly taper the campaign, you automatically see the blues reducing. All right? So when you click on each of these segments, you can see the percentage of requests, the actual number of requests, and details of what that graph is all about. So again, I can filter this by site. I just have to search for London. All right, it's here. Okay, so I can do this across departments and so on. Okay, so this is a good question. What are we spending our time on? I think this is a question that's almost asked every day in a service desk environment. So some service desks keep fighting incidents all the time and consider themselves to be productive. The rest say, no, we're better off with handling service requests. You know, that is a sign of our productivity. So here's what the graph says. So here's the request breakdown by type. The reds are the incidents, the greens are the service requests, and the blues are the requests for information. Now, if you have the incidents, the reds constant, or if they are on an upswing, it probably means that your IT is not as stable as you would want it to be. You perhaps would want to focus on your problem management effort, fixing root causes rather than addressing just the symptoms. On the other hand, does an upswing in the service request mean anything good? We don't know. It could be that we are probably not empowering our users enough. When there are tasks that are pretty usual, pretty routine, when we could actually hand them over for end users to help themselves with the self-service portal, with the knowledge-based artifacts that are available. Now, that's a line of thought you need to take. Now, are we taking too many things that you know could of which actually some could be done by the end users themselves? So it's important that you strike a right balance between your incidents and your service requests and optimize them. You can of course see this by technician. You can look at this data by site, group, category, priority. So it's left to your imagination. The last question that we want to see before we get into the demo is again on resource planning. How good are we at resource planning? So here's a ticket inflow by hours report, which basically maps the volume of incoming tickets to the hour of the day. And if I see for this month, at 11 in the morning, there's a spike, it keeps going up, and then between 3 and 6 or even 7, there's a lull, and again there's a spike. Now let's say I want to see if there's a trend. So I look at the data for the last year, and I see that between 10 and 1 or even 2 in the afternoon, there's a spike. Then there's a lull, again there's a spike. So once you have visibility of this information, you can actually go ahead and plan your staffing for your help desk so that you can handle your tickets in the most efficient way. All right? Okay. There are a lot of questions coming up. Just wanted to let you know that we're looking at all of them, and we will answer them right after the demo. Okay? Now, let's quickly jump to the demo. All right. Okay. So I'm logged into ServiceDesk Plus, and I can see the Zoho Reports tab. So clicking on the Zoho Reports tab would take me to the actual Zoho Reports screen. Now, there is a sync process. So what we're going to do is we're going to be sending a recording of this webinar to all the participants within the next 3 or 4 days. And along with that recording, we would send you a video that talks about synchronizing Zoho Reports with ServiceDesk Plus. It's a step-by-step guide, so you could use that to sync your instance with Zoho Reports. Okay? So for now, I just click on the Zoho Reports tab, and I'm taken to the Zoho Reports screen where I see all my reports to the left with my dashboard, and I can start creating my reports. But before going to the specific examples, let me take an example of how things are done today. Okay? So here's a forum post that came in a while ago. And a customer had requested for an average initial response time report by group, and then statistics on reopened issues and on SLA violations and compliance. Now what happened was the support team here sent 3 queries. And when the customer tried running it in his environment, there was a version difference or whatever, and then he got this really large error message. And then he reported back to us. We sent him 3 updated queries, and then he says, okay, this works, but you know what? In the query number 3, I need this little change. And then, you know, the support team sent the updated query back to the customer. Now, the whole exchange, you know, happened in over a few days, and with waiting, you know, a lot of waiting on the part of the customer. Now, the point is, what I'm going to show you over the next 5-10 minutes is going to completely remove this waiting time. It's going to completely remove this complexity. Okay, so we're going to be generating these 3 reports using Zoho Reports now. The first is the report on the initial response time. All I go is click on new report, and I need a chart view. I can choose from request, tasks, and work log. So these are the modules that are right now available for you to generate reports from. Subsequently, we would be adding problems, changes, assets, and so on. So for now, I click on request, click OK. On the left, you see a whole lot of fields, and here's where here's the little canvas where you can actually configure your report. Now I need the group, G-R-O-U-P, enter. Okay, I have the group. I drag and drop it on the x-axis. Okay, and we have the time to respond. So let me search time to respond in hours. On the y-axis, what I need is the average. Now let's say I want to differentiate different groups by color. So I drag and drop group in the color tab. Okay, and let's say I want to be able to filter this whole report by created time and site. So let me search for site. Here it is. And the created time. All right, created time is out here. Now let's say I want to make the created time a relative period. So I choose the relative period, click on next. Let's say it's this month, last 30 days, this quarter, last 3 months, and this year and last year. So this quarter, let me specify the default value, hit finish. All I need to do is generate the graph. I go into the view mode and I have the report ready. So I can select this by site. I can select filter by the year and so on. Okay? So what I can do now is go save this report, call it initial response time, and I create a new folder. Let's call it webinar and click OK. All right. Now that the report is generated, I can go ahead and perform multiple actions. I can export the report as a CSV, as a PDF, as a HTML, as an image. I can email this report just like the scheduled reports in ServiceDesk Plus. I can set up schedules. I can share this report, and I can also publish this report. I can go embed it in my website, so I can go publish it in a SharePoint portal, in my blog, just about anywhere. So all I do is generate a URL, I access without login, and I copy and paste the code in an incognito browser window. And I have my report. Okay? So this is a report that I can now share to just about anybody. It probably took me 2 minutes to do this. All right? Now, let's do the second report on the reopened request. Again, I go click on new report, and I click on the new pivot view. Okay? And in the rows, I add the technician, and for data, I need the reopened issue status. Okay, I take the percentage and the average. So again, use a filter. Let's say I want to sort this by site. I click to generate the pivot, and here you go. I go to the view mode. I select by site. I can select by the request resolve time, the created time, anything. All right? Let me go save this as reopen stats under the webinar folder. And the third report, which I want to show you, is the SLA deviation report that we created, that we saw as the first question. Go click on new chart view. On the x-axis, I have the priority. On the y-axis, I have the time elapsed in hours. I need the average. Okay, and I want to differentiate priorities by color. I do that out here. Okay, and I click to generate the graph. Okay, so here you have a classification of requests by priority. Now let's say I want to add the threshold. So I click on settings, go to threshold, select the reference axis, name this critical, give this a value of 20, and apply it. So if I go to the view mode, I can see the threshold and understand that the average time elapsed for the critical priority tickets is about 18.89 hours, which is very, very close to 20, but still meets my SLA. So I can go ahead, save this as SLA deviation report, and save it in the webinar folder. Now, each of these reports, as I said, can be exported into any format that you need, shared across multiple audience in a variety of modes, and embedded in your website and so on. Emails, scheduled, just like you would in ServiceDesk Plus. Now, with the reports that you create, you can actually draw up dashboards. Now, drawing up dashboards is pretty simple. We have over 80 ready-made reports in the instance, Zoho Reports instance that we're giving you. Almost every KPI report, key performance indicator, every best practice report that you need is incorporated out there. But let me quickly tell you how to create a dashboard. Okay, so I go click on New Dashboard, and let's say I include an aging report, and then a call volume by hour, and let's say we add the reports that we created just now. Okay, now this probably doesn't look too neat, so let me contract it, and when I come down, I contract this report to, I can drag, drop it here, just like you would in a request template. You just have to drag and drop reports around, and you should be fine. You should be able to create your own dashboard. Okay, and with this dashboard, you can also add widgets. Let's say you need the total request count. Apply. So you would have this widget added to your dashboard. So you can actually add any number of, so you can look at the closed tickets, open tickets, the backlog, calculate the backlog, anything. Okay, and just like I said, you can go ahead, save this dashboard, webinar dashboard, and save it under dashboards. Click OK, and just like you shared reports, just like you emailed them, just like you exported them, you can go ahead, share this dashboard to any kind of audience. All right? So that is pretty much what I wanted to explain to you. So we saw the questions, the answers to the questions. We saw how long it takes with query reports, and we created 3 reports. We pulled them into it. We built a dashboard together, and this is pretty much the capability. So we will spend the next few minutes answering whatever questions you may have. All right? Okay, there's a question. Does this tool work with other modules like changes, problems, and assets, or is it only with a request? Okay, so now it's going to be requests, work logs, and tasks. We do have problem and change and assets in the pipeline, but for now, we have requests, work logs, and tasks. Okay, Zillium Inc. So there's a question. So we have ServiceDesk Plus. This webinar is using Zillium Inc. ServiceDesk. Is that 2 different software? No. This is just my company's name. Just like you would have your company's name in your ServiceDesk installation. I can have my company's name in the Zoho Reports instance, so this is not different. There's another question. Is there a way to put this dashboard on the ManageEngine main page and replace the one that is there? Okay, right now this is not possible, but we are working on that too. So very soon you would have the capability of bringing these dashboards inside your ManageEngine ServiceDesk home screen. Okay, question, does this show the first contact resolution? Absolutely. So any ITIL KPI that you want would be available. Yes. Okay. So there's another question. I'm assuming this is a separate component that must be purchased. How can I find out the details? Yes, this is being offered as an add-on. So I recommend that you go to store.manageengine.com/service-desk and you scroll down to view your pricing option. Hang on, let me take you there. Okay, so it comes as a yearly subscription. It's based on the number of users, on the number of rows. You can treat one request record to be a row. So this is how the plans work. Is this only web-based or is the locally hosted version available? Right now, Zoho Reports is available only as a cloud solution. Okay, there are quite a few requests for specific reports. So what we're going to do is we're going to be putting together a list of such reports that were requested today, and we would get back to you along with a list of questions that were asked in the webinar. Next question, how can I integrate the ManageEngine with the Zoho reporting tool? We will send you a video with detailed steps on how that can be done. Okay, there's quite a demand for asset management. We will take the feedback to our engineering team. Okay, will Zoho Reports work with an on-premise service desk setup? Absolutely. The integration right now is only available for the on-premise version of ServiceDesk Plus. The on-demand customers would be able to get it by the end of the quarter. I see this webinar is being recorded. Oh yes, absolutely. We would be circulating a YouTube link of this webinar within the next 3 or 4 days. Okay, in regards to the pricing and users, how many rows does one ticket generally require, or is one row equal to one ticket? Yes, you can treat it as one row being equal to one ticket. All right, I'm also interested in an asset management webinar. Okay, we'll do that for you soon. Okay, we'll just wait for a minute to see if we have any more questions of Zoho Reports. Yes, I've just taken you to the Zoho Reports pricing page. We will be circulating this too. So there is a free edition, which is always free. So 2 users, 10,000 rows. So that is available for you. Okay, what assurances can you give about security? This is a good question. So we're hosted in best-in-class data centers in the US. So we meet very stringent standards. There's a whole lot of customers, including the government, for Zoho services. We take into account business continuity, disaster recovery, so we incorporate geo-mirroring with our servers on the East Coast. Okay, HIPAA compliance, we will get back to you on that. There is a list of Zoho services which are HIPAA compliant. We would get back to you with the confirmation if Zoho Reports is HIPAA compliant. Zoho Reports is not an add-on to Support Center. We have it only for ServiceDesk Plus as of today. So users, is the users based on the number of technicians that you are licensed for? Not necessarily. If you have 10 technicians, you can just buy a 2-user license or a 3-user license. The number of people that would actually go in, so these need not be technicians, they can be end users also. So these are people who would generate the reports. So you can go ahead, share these reports with unlimited audience. Okay, so if you sign up for the free version, you can definitely upgrade to the paid edition, and vice versa. You can at the end of your trial, you would automatically be moved to the free edition. Okay, so yes, you can use a trial version. We would be sending you details of the trial version by email, so you can wait for an email from us. In case you want personalized demos, we would be happy to arrange it for you. If you want to show the capabilities like a POC or anything, you can work with our support team if you're an existing customer, or you can work with our pre-sales team if you are an evaluator of ServiceDesk Plus. We would send you those details. All right. So with that, we come to the end of this webinar. I want to offer my gratitude for all of your time and your attendance. So we've kept a log of all the questions, and we would get back to each and every one of you by email. So thank you so much. Have a great time doing some awesome reports in your service desks. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.